What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our NFL draft coverage continues with a 4-round Eagles live mock draft simulation. To help me do it, my main man from Fox Sports The Gambler and Chalk Talk with Shade Half. He is Mark Henry Jr. Follow him on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. _ What's up? What's going on, man?
I'm not going to say I'm doing great. I'm doing better. You know, we're obviously 8 days removed. This is an Eagles podcast. I don't want to trigger anybody. I'm already triggering myself by talking about it. But I've officially turned the page to draft season. And it's obviously my favorite season of all seasons. So we have how many? Do you have the countdown, Dodds? What is it, like 2.5 months about?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the end of April, right? So
yeah,
close.
Yeah, a little under 2.5 months. So these next 2.5 months, man, it is going to be, that's going to fill up about, outside of March Madness, that's going to fill up about 80% of my, my sports time will be draft research and draft tapes. So this is still the beginning of my rankings. I have a pretty good grip on my top, 40 to 50. But beyond that, I'm still getting a grip, doing my research, crunching my tape.
Awesome. Guys, if you want to make some money, my man Mark down there at Mark Henry Jr. _ does it better than anybody if you're into sports gambling for everything. So we've already got Kieran in the house saying good morning from Australia. What's going on, Australia? Thanks for joining. Hulk is in the house.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi. And Hulk is in the house. So we're going to do a quick 4-round mock draft. And what do we do next? On the YouTube channel, we will have a voting section where you can vote for who had the best Eagles mock. Trades are allowed here. Guys, if you're watching this live, be sure to comment, grade, react to our draft selections for the Philadelphia Eagles. Mark, do you want to go first or do you want to go second? You're the guest. I'll let you
go first.
All right, let's start the draft here. And here we go. There's nothing better than this, man. This is by far, Kieran goes, oi, oi, oi. This is by far my favorite show imaginable, the dueling mock. All right, so let's quickly recap. Will Anderson to Chicago, Bryce Young, Jalen Carter, CJ Stroud, Brian Branch, number 5 to the Seattle Seahawks, Devin Witherspoon, number 6. And wow, there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 9 of this draft. So that's not good for Howie if he wants to trade back. So here we are. Let's make a move. We're sitting here at number 10. Looking at who's available. Did not go well for my Eagles. I'm looking at Tyree Wilson, who just got selected. I'm going to look at a trade here. The Jacksonville Jaguars want me to trade back. I'm not doing that at all. And I'm going to do what all sensible Philadelphia Eagles fans should do, except for PFF, who are I just hate their player rankings so much. But we're going to go all the way down here to Myles Murphy and make that selection for the Eagles at pick number 10. Myles Murphy is my edge 2 of this draft. His acceleration burst, his ability to win off the line of scrimmage. Well, let me pause that. Hold on. Oh my gosh, that went fast. Sorry, guys. Is ridiculous. Myles Murphy to the Eagles. I know it's like kind of a luxury, but you look at the defensive line for the Eagles, man. They are getting decimated this offseason with age, with free agents, and pretty much all the above. So Myles Murphy, any thoughts on that, Mark?
I think you'll hear my thoughts in just a second on that. So let me pull up my mock. And I've been talking about my love for a certain defensive lineman from Clemson for a long, long time. And I'm not talking about Brian Breezy. So let me recap the top 9 here. We had Jalen Carter go 1, Bryce Young 2, Anderson 3, Stroud, Witherspoon, Gonzalez, Levis, Wilson, close. Richardson there going in the top 9. I have been very steadfast about this in my research so far. I think there's a very clear top 4 for the Eagles when it comes to my big board. And previously, it looked like that top 4 was not going to be very possible to land at 10. And maybe I'm judging this a little bit too much just based on PFF. But PFF has really low Myles Murphy. You look at other mocks on other sites, on ESPN, on CBS, and all these other places. Myles Murphy's still going in the top 9 in a lot of places. And you said Myles Murphy's your edge 2 in the class. Myles Murphy's my number 3 overall player in the class.
Oh, wow.
And he's my number 2. He is my number 2 edge as well. But he's my number 2 on my Eagles big board. I'm sure we'll be doing that in quite some time. But I think Myles has all the traits. I think he's got the upside while also being able to contribute right away. I really think he's a run-stuffing pass rusher, which I don't think, obviously with Philadelphia, you rotate so many guys in and out of the lineup. But having said that, I don't think you have to do that with Myles Murphy. So maybe there's some value in allocating your resources that way and having Myles Murphy and maybe not being so deep at defensive line, or maybe still being that deep and playing Murphy just a ton of snaps down the line. But I think he's the total package, and he's my number 3 player in the class. I'd be thrilled to get him at number 10. And because I've done so many PFF mocks, I can tell you that they grade this out as a D+. I'll take that D+ all day long, PFF, at number 10. So there was a time where I would have been thrilled trading up for Myles Murphy. So I'd absolutely be thrilled to take him at 10.
All right. Myles Murphy there goes number 10 to Mark. Back-to-back Myles Murphy picks for the Eagles. Hulk says, I'm good with Myles if Gonzalez is off the board. Shirley Gonzalez and the money you can save from Bradbury. This is kind of the double-edged sword because a lot of these top cornerbacks are going to be gone by the Eagles' next selection at pick 31. At least that's my take. It's cornerback is arguably the best in the class. Cornerback, it is incredibly deep, but the top like 3 or 4 guys are all going to be probably drafted within like 10 to 30. So the Eagles are here on the clock. Wait, am I sharing my screen? There we go. Now I'm back. Let's do a draft pick for the Birds. I'm looking at who's available. There's a lot of guys I really like here. Jahmyr Gibbs, people talk a lot about Jahmyr Gibbs. When you look at cornerback, Tyreek Stevenson was my number 2 winner of the Senior Bowl. He's got just a really good, solid combination of height. He can play press man. He can play man. He has good play strength, really good burst, really good agility, twitch. He's got a lot of measurables that he's kind of a developmental guy, but I think would fit in nicely, under D Slay to kind of develop into a CB1 eventually. That's probably where I'm leaning. I'm going to just skim the board one more time. Tank Dell is a guy that I've mocked to the Eagles several times. I know Mark has an opinion on Tank Dell. Emmanuel Forbes is a guy that I like a lot for the Eagles as well. I think he's a first-round talent. Really good size, really good length. He's a playmaker. 6 interceptions in college, man. Where do we go? He's got I think I'm between Tyreek Stevenson and Emmanuel Forbes. I'm going to go with I think the guy that has the best upside. And I'm going to go. I think Tyreek Stevenson's being a little overrated by PFF's rankings. And I'm going to go Emmanuel Forbes with my selection. Go ahead, Mark.
Forbes is a guy I like a lot, and he's also a guy I'm going to be considering here. So it'd be pretty funny if Alex and I ended up building the exact same thing. But I'm sitting here at 30, and I actually have a lot of players that I like, but a lot of players that I value about the same. And I'm sitting here at 30. And I think that there's probably going to be some teams that are interested in trading back into the back of the first round to get that 5th-year option on a player. And I think the Texans, in my mock, they drafted a quarterback and an offensive lineman. Maybe they move up to get a receiver. So I'm going to trade 30 and 94 for 33-65, and let's see if we can get a 7th rounder in there. All right, they're not doing the
Love
7th.
it.
Let's take the 7th out. Let's take that out. That's
We've got
very
Pablo in the house
frustrating that
saying,
they're not
"Go
doing it.
Seahawks." Got a Seahawks fan in the house.
They're driving a hard bargain. I'll throw in a late round pick. Yeah, there you go. They worked out well. I still like that you add a nice little pick there while only dropping back a couple picks. I don't think in the next 3 picks anyone that I really want is going to go. I looked at the needs there. Maybe the Steelers take a corner, but let's move it a couple picks forward. And at this point, I'm still thinking about moving back. So no one there really went off the top of my board. Someone who I've traded back with when I've done this before is Carolina. Let's take a look at Carolina. They've got some extra picks from San Francisco. I can't remember exactly what trade that's from. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. I'm dumb. So let me figure out this trade here. We just obviously traded a pick from the before. So let's trade a 3rd from next year, a 2nd from this year for 2 seconds this year. Let's see if they bite on that.
Love it.
Okay. They did not go for it.
Try one more time.
Let's drop back a little farther. Let's get crazy.
Okay.
Let's call Green Bay up. Apparently they're interested. We'll be dealing from a bit of more of a leverage point here. Let's get 45 and 78. Look, maybe we might be able to get something else in there. Let's try 171.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, I'll do that all day long. So we move back. Let's move it to 45. We're looking for corners, so we're hoping corners don't go off the board.
I think I have an idea of what
Manuel Forbes.
Okay.
Manuel Forbes off the board. I'm willing to eat that. You know, we got some assets to move back. Let's stop messing around. I'm going to move a bit far down the list here. And I did it a little bit. I would have maybe stuck there and taken Forbes, but with Dives taking him, let's do a little bit different. Let's do something different. I'm going to go with Keely Ringo. And I think that there's people all over the board on Keely Ringo. PFF obviously has him down here at 75. The ADP is 55. But if you go look at mocks, you go look at ESPN, you go look at, a lot of places, they've got him top 20. And this is a guy who's just got physical tools out the wazoo. And there's times where, he's playing a little bit of catch up, and I've seen PFF and others say that. But I think that his athletic traits are going to win out. And I think you get him in a good system. And obviously a system, I don't know if we're going to have the exact same system. We'll know in the future when we get an official word on the defensive coordinator. But I think it'll probably be a similar system. I think that it takes a lot of the onus off corners, and it's not as easy to get beat deep when you're a corner in this system. And I think that's a little bit of the Ringo problem. I think with his traits and his tackling ability, I think he'd be a perfect fit on the outside across from Slay. You keep Avante in the slot. And there's other corners I would take a look at here. I think Cam Smith is still on the board. I think Clark Phillips is still on the board. Those are 2 guys that I'm really high on, but they're pretty undersized, and Avante is under contract, and you're keeping him in the slot. So makes a little bit more sense to go after a guy who's a bit more on the outside. And honestly, I've heard some people speculate that Ringo could even be a safety. That's not to say I'm drafting him as a safety here, but he could be his own version of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a lot bigger than Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, obviously, but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can oscillate between being a slot corner and a safety in a way that I think Ringo could potentially oscillate between being an outside corner and a safety. So that positional versatility is something that I'm going to really start valuing a lot more going forward, especially when talking about Eagles free agents and guys like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Your boy says Kayshawn would boost the Eagles offense. Here's a hot take, because when I do my final wide receiver rankings, like Kayshawn's probably going to be, he might be on the fringe of that list. Go ahead.
He's my wide receiver 10 right now. So
he's
right on that fringe.
Because whoa. Oh, what's up, Siri? The more I've like deep dived into the wide receivers of this draft, it's scary deep. There's a lot of depth at wide receiver in this draft. All right. So I did not make a trade, and I'm sitting at pick 62. Do you want to make your selection here at pick 45?
Oh, I picked Ringo. I'm sorry, I didn't.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure I didn't miss that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. That's my apology.
All right, Ringo. The Philadelphia Eagles still sticking in the SEC. Let's keep that train rolling. I love it, love it, love it. All right, I'm gonna, I guess, go to my. Oh, there it is. All right, so now we are here. We're sitting at pick number 62 for the Birds. We picked Miles Murphy at pick number 10. At pick number 30, we stuck with the defense. Got a potential CB1. Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. So we are now at pick number 62. And I like to make themes with these drafts, Mark. And this theme is going to be replacing and restocking the Eagles defense. My focus here is to really, rounds 1 through 4, focus on adding depth and talent for the Eagles defense, which got exposed against Patrick Mahomes. So here at pick 62, I'm going to go with the guy that absolutely dominated every single rep at the Senior Bowl. Whether you think it's like it's the Senior Bowl is kind of like meh, or whether you take stock in it, I don't care. I think Keanu Benton, interior defensive lineman here out of Wisconsin, is an absolute stud. Would fit really well alongside Jordan Davis. Hold on, let me hit pause there. Keanu Benton has just elite level play strength. I know, Mark, you love that. Benton has really good size. He's 6'3", great burst off the line of scrimmage, really good agility. He's got versatility to play anywhere across the line. We know how he's going to love that. So that versatility, the size, the burst, the strength, I think Benton is really climbing my interior defensive lineman rankings. And I'm going to stick with rebuilding this Eagles defense. So Keanu Benton to the Eagles at pick 62 for me. And we have Dank in the house. This is my boy. There you go. You're up.
Oh, my bad. I'm moving forward here, and I'm actually going to move up. So the Steelers,
all right.
The Steelers took Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's someone that I have a lot of interest in. I definitely am interested in replacing running back, whether that be there's a chance that maybe you don't make a pick on a running back here, and maybe you go ahead, pick a later pick. You go ahead and trust Gainwell. You go ahead and look in free agency. There's a lot of free agency running backs this year, and there's going to be some that go for less than market value just because there's so many. And there's not a lot of teams that want to go out there and spend a lot of money. So there's Miles, there's Jacobs, there's a ton of running backs out there that I think, may not get what they're looking for. So there's a chance Howie gets someone on a bargain there. But assuming they don't, assuming we're moving forward with pretty much just Gainwell in the backfield, someone that I'd love to add to Gainwell would be Zach Charbonnet. So
nice.
Let me try to move up here with Tampa Bay, and I'm going to pay a little bit of a premium, and I'm going to take a little bit of a pick next year. I think I'm going to take a bath on this season. Let's replace the third rounder that I traded. Let's go ahead. I'm going to get 50. I'm going to get a third round pick next year. I'm going to get a late pick. And I'm going to trade I think that is a second and a third there. So we'll take away the late pick. And there we go. We moved up, and we're going ahead and getting Zach Charbonnet, running back out of UCLA. This is a guy who I might have started doing pods earlier last year because I was all in on Zach Charbonnet, and then he went back to college. So I wanted to draft Charbonnet last year, let alone this year, and he was only better at UCLA this season, and I love what him and DTR did in terms of creating the running game. And obviously, it's the Chip Kelly offense, so it's a little funny to be drafting a Chip Kelly running back here, but I think he would fit absolutely perfectly with Gainwell. I think it would almost be a little bit of a thunder and lightning combination there with Charbonnet and Gainwell. And not to say Charbonnet is slow, but he'll run you over a bit more. And then you can bring Gainwell in on third downs. Then you can use Gainwell all over the place, obviously, as a receiver And not to say Charbonnet can't catch either, because he can. He has hands, and he can make you kind of stretch out on the outside. So Charbonnet is a guy that I've really, really liked for a long time and had a lot of fun watching this season. Gibbs, I do like more. I was tweeting about Jahmyr Gibbs the other day. I think there's a chance that Jahmyr Gibbs is even better than Bijan Robinson. So that's how high I am on Gibbs. And honestly, I think Charbonnet's got a chance to be the best back in the class too. I think that top 3 for me among running backs, there's a massive drop after Robinson, Charbonnet, and Gibbs for me. I think Dive's a little bit higher on the A-Chains, the McBrides, the McIntoshes, Kendry Miller. I like some of those guys, but I do think there's a big time drop off between that top 3 that I have and those rest of that class.
Love it. No, you're pretty much on top of it. Like, A-Chain's fast, man. No one's gonna question his speed, but I don't know. We'll see. I really like Zach Charbonnet. Has always been one of my favorites to the Eagles for a couple months now. I absolutely love that selection for you. Dank asks, would you go DTR for a late round pick? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Do you have any idea what that means?
Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I haven't looked into that deep of quarterbacks on late round draft picks. There is a guy who I take a look at maybe in the 4th round, maybe in the 3rd round if you trade down and you have some extra picks. We'll get into that maybe if because I do have some extra picks. There's a chance I look into it or at least mention it. So I'll talk about that. I'm not opposed to drafting a quarterback on day 2 or day 3, but that's something that we'll talk about in a bit. So okay. I think you're up over there.
All right, let's do this. There we go. All right, so I'm sitting here at pick number 94, round 3. I literally just said I want to focus on defense, and I'm like thinking I should take it back because there's a lot of offensive playmakers sitting here for the Eagles. Ivan Pace Jr. is a linebacker for Cincinnati that has ridiculous short area quickness, burst, has been rising up the boards, but we already have a guy like that waiting to get more snaps next season. So I'm going to pump the brakes on Ivan Pace Jr., even though I really like him a lot. Tyjae Spears is a flat-out stud. Really good receiver out of the backfield, elite burst, acceleration, and he actually is a pretty good pass blocker. And then I think a real popular name that I'm shocked he's still there. I don't think he will be on draft day, but Cody Mock played a lot more interior at the Senior Bowl. He played everywhere on the interior, so PFF has him as a tackle. He'll most likely start out on the inside before kicking out to tackle in the NFL. So let's kind of look at who else is available. Again, we got a cornerback and we got an edge rusher and an interior defensive lineman. Gervon Dexter's sitting there. Ronnie Hickman is a name. He's a big name. Roshan Johnson is a big name. I've covered a lot. Andre Ias cannot pronounce that. Andre Iasovas, I think his name is a good one. Andrew Voorhees is a good one. All right, so I'm gonna just take back my words. I just do not have a defensive player that I want to take at this point over the guys that are available. And the guy I'm going to go with, we're just going to continue building on the lines. And I'm going to go Cody Mock. You can never have enough uber talented offensive linemen. Versatility to play anywhere. Literally tackle, interior, wherever you want. Cody Mock is just too good to pass up there. I think it's just an absolute steal for the Eagles at that spot, man. Cody Mock, 6'4", 305. He's the like they complain every year, like he's got short arms. Who cares? He's just his tenacity, his athleticism. I think he's a top 50 pick. And again, to get him in at the bottom of round 3 is just ridiculous. So that's my selection.
Well, guess what, Dives? We have a same pick coming here. So
no!
I just moved down. I moved from 65 down to 75. I also picked up 110 and a late round pick because I want Cody Mock. Mock? Are we saying Mock?
It's Mock.
Mock. So I was listening to Daniel Jeremiah talking about him today. He was kind of saying Mock. He threw me off a
Oh,
little
I
bit.
thought it was Mock. I'm the worst when it comes to that stuff. So.
Me too. I am also the worst. But Cody Mock, whatever his name is, he was comparing him to Cole Strange, who also rose into the first round last year.
Loved
and
Cole Strange last year. Loved him.
Fitting name for a mock draft. That's a great one. I like that, Dank Burrito. That's funny. Great. I also like the name. That's funny. But I will just say he was saying this guy could end up going in the first round. And this is a guy who he said could start at all 5 positions. And he's a guy who I've had my eyes on, and he's obviously has the really funny picture with the missing teeth. I think he's a football guy, this guy. And, I'm not going to add too much more than what Dives expertly pointed out there. But yeah, I'm also taking him at 75, and I'll also have a pick coming up at 110. Do you have any picks left, Dives?
No, I'm at 94. I mean, I'm done. So you can just keep going. I hope I didn't screw up.
I wish I could speed up the speed here, but we're gonna let it roll.
Sounds good. Yeah. So I really focus. Well, we'll grade our drafts at the end here, but I will say my draft is over, and PFF hates my draft. They really. This is probably my lowest.
But I got my running back. I got my offensive lineman who can kind of bounce around and maybe even play tackle eventually. I got my premier edge rusher. I'm thrilled about that. Got my corner who could potentially bounce to safety. Would have loved to get Brandon Joseph there. That's pretty frustrating, to be quite honest, that Brandon Joseph went a pick before me, and I would have loved to add a safety there. But let's take a look at some of the positions I haven't drafted. I haven't drafted a quarterback, but Hendon Hooker's unavailable. If Hendon Hooker was there here, round 4, I'd take a peek at Hendon Hooker because, he plays a similar play style to Jalen Hurts, and that's something I know my Chalk Talk co-host Shane Haff always likes to point out. I think that is something you should look for in a backup quarterback, is someone who plays similarly to your starting quarterback. So I'm taking receivers here. I think A.T. Perry is off the board. He's someone who I would have looked at. Cedric Tillman's interesting. The traits are very interesting with Cedric Tillman. He's a guy who I'll probably take a look at if there's nothing else available here that catches my eye. Let's check out the linebacker position. So obviously Eagles don't draft linebackers, but they have shown that they'll draft them on day 3, including Nakobe Dean last year. I do like Noah Sewell. Obviously, he's got NFL blood there with Panay. Someone that I'd definitely be considering there. Let's take a look at safety. Let's see if we've got anyone left on the board at safety. Any Chris Smiths, anyone like that? Nah, it doesn't look like Chris Smith. No Jordan Battle, no J.L. Skinner, none of those guys. So, you know what? We haven't addressed receiver, and I think we really need to. So let's go ahead and draft Cedric Tillman. I'll bet on the traits there. You might be able to convince me to go a different way here. Maybe a Marvin Mims, maybe a Jonathan Mingo. But my favorite available here is probably Cedric Tillman, who I think I currently have as wide receiver 8, right behind Tank Dell. So let me lock in Tillman there.
All right. Hold on. I'm going to make a 4th round select. Oh, go ahead. Lost you there, man. You there?
Just for a second, but
hello? Lost you there, man. All right. We're waiting for Mark to get back. We said, what are your thoughts? Oh, hello. Obi's in the house. Thanks for joining. Obi says, what do you guys think of best available versus need? For the Eagles, I think it's a great draft for their needs. A lot of the strengths of this draft is exactly in line with what the Eagles need. Cornerback, edge rusher. The draft is insanely deep, especially on day 2, day 3 at running back. And wide receiver, if the Eagles need to get a wide receiver 3. The only position I really don't like, that I'm like really not all about is linebacker. I think this draft is very weak when it comes to linebackers. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I got you. All right.
I wanted to ask your thoughts. I wanted to ask your thoughts there on Cedric Tillman.
Dude, he hasn't played a lot. He's definitely got upside to be like a starting outside wide receiver, and there's not a lot of those guys in this draft. A lot of the kind of like day 2, day 3 guys are more guys that are like slot guys that can like dominate in space. You after the catch kind of guys. Cedric Tillman definitely like along the lines of like a Rashee Rice, have that ability to maybe have that upside to be a wide receiver 1 potential. So the upside is definitely there. How many games did he play in 2022?
Yeah.
Not much.
Like 6 or 7, yeah.
So a lot of like, I think tape wise, you're looking at 2 years ago, not last year. So I think his upside is for real. So I think I had him as a day 2 guy. So I'm good with Cedric Tillman, but for the Eagles, not so much.
Yeah, he's not the best fit.
I think Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I
don't
know what's going on. I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah.
EP says, I think after the 4th round, you go best player available. A lot of times I go best player available, period. I'm going to go through my selections real quick here. We went defense with the first 3 picks. We went Myles Murphy, Emmanuel Forbes, and Keanu Benton. Really solidified the Eagles' defensive line in a big way, literally. And then Emmanuel Forbes, I think, has CB1 upside. And then I wanted to get a defensive player to really kind of cement this defensive mock draft for the Eagles. It didn't work out. I didn't really like who was available. And Cody Mock was too good to pass up there in round 3. I think he's more likely a round 1 guy than a round 3 guy or round 4 guy. So those are my selections. I got a C- from PFF. Let me know, guys, if you're watching this. Let me know your grades on these selections. But Mark, any quick reaction to that?
Yeah. I mean, we drafted a couple similar players, obviously, and I really like Emmanuel Forbes. I actually have Emmanuel Forbes. Like, I think I have him a number 11 on my Eagles big board. So I have Forbes really high. He's 1 spot behind Ringo. He's my number 5 corner. So I'd be thrilled to get Forbes in the 2nd round, or even at 30, to be quite honest. So that's definitely something I like. And then we obviously had 2 similar picks. I'll pull up my mock here. Something funny, PFF sometimes they'll show the picks that you traded. Sometimes they won't. I don't think they did on yours.
They should have it right underneath. Yeah, it's right under there. See where it says trade?
Yeah, for me, I have him right here. So Murphy, I got it 10, traded down, got Ringo. They hated that pick. D+ for Murphy, F for Ringo. They liked the trade I did with Green Bay, and then they hated the pick I made when I traded down with Charbonnet. C+ on the trade I did with Tampa. Went down and got Mock, C-, and then they liked the trade and then the Tillman pick. They gave me a C. I am thrilled with this draft. The only thing I'm not thrilled about is not addressing receiver a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't go wide receiver too. That's a shock for me because if you watch any of these other drafts, sometimes I've like my last one that we did. What was it, like Thursday? I think I took Tank Dell with pick number 30 there for the Eagles, which might be a little bit of a reach, but I think he's a great fit in between AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. But I love the Zach Charbonnet pick. I love the Cody Mock pick. I think those are just home run selections. Great fits there. Keely Ringo, great talent. Just has struggled at times against big competition and big moments, and he's kind of like that's kind of a lasting memory of Keely Ringo, unfortunately. But People question whether or not he has the speed to hang with some of the elite wide receivers at the next level. We'll see. And then who you got? Miles Murphy, right?
Yeah, Miles Murphy in the first round there.
Miles Murphy is terrific. I love the trade. I like your selections. I'll give this a solid B+ to A-. I think they would absolutely be major additions for the Birds.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be a tough poll for me.
Yeah. So, guys, what we're going to do next is we are going to throw them up on YouTube, and you can vote who had the best Eagles mock 4-round mock draft. Mark, where can everyone find you, man? Plugs, final thoughts.
Yeah, come and follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ on Twitter. And the Tough Cover Radio Show every Saturday. We're off this next coming Saturday, but after that, every Saturday, 11 to 1. So that's where you can find me. Chalk Talk, I believe, every Tuesday for now with Shane Haff. And then I think I'll be doing a lot more stuff with Dibes and Shane regarding the NFL draft, especially coming up this week.
Love it, man. I'll be doing another Eagles mock draft tomorrow night before we do our full first round mock tomorrow night as well. We will be, or I just dropped part 5 of my 5 favorite sleeper series. I'm up to now, like, with honorable mentions, like almost 30 day 3 guys, just gushing over day 3 guys. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to kind of take a break until the combine hits in a couple weeks. And I'm going to take this 2-week break to kind of rest before the next wave starts. Mark Schofield will be joining Party on Broad in a series where we're going to really deep dive into this draft after the combine. If you don't know who Mark Schofield is, you're in good luck, because there's no better analyst than Mark Schofield. He literally will be in Indianapolis. So it's going to be awesome. Go follow my man over there at Mark Henry Jr. _ if you want to win some money. If you're into sports gambling, Fox Sports The Gambler, Chalk Talk with Shane Haff. I am Dibes, Mr. Crockpot. For Mark, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.